Ended discussion. There is no right or wrong answers. Um, those of you who are watching this can feel free to write your opinions, interpretations, and viewpoints in the comment section if you so choose. And the topic is going to be about the law of do not murder in the 7 Noahide laws. Now, we mentioned earlier that one of the laws is to establish courts of justice, given especially to Noah after the flood, according to the story in the Torah, in Genesis Bereshit. Now, when it comes to courts of justice, one of the most inevitable topics that come up is, in regards to human life, is murder. Do not murder was taken straight from the Torah. The reason it exists is because murder implies that there is an intent to take another human being's life. In contrast with, like, say, just regular killing or manslaughter or killing in self-defense. Murder implies that there has been an intent to, kill somebody, premeditated, or an act of that nature. So, the original word for do not murder, the word murder, was Ratzach in Hebrew. Now, there has been different interpretations as to where this word came from, according to different linguists, sages, rabbis, people who study these kind of things. Some say it means, do not murder. Some say it even goes deeper as to saying, do not have ill will. And also the original Hebrew word, Ratzach, is associated or related to the word rutz, which means to run. Now, there's some, thinking that people could do as to where that could fit in. Why, the word run could tie in with the concept of murder. The discussion that I want people to have, or the kind of thinking that I want people to have, is to come up with this score and discussion as to why, in order for the crime of murder to be made into a verdict, or to be the term murder has to be used. Why does it have to involve intent? What is the difference between manslaughter and murder? I think that's very important. And also, how can you tell when someone has had the intent versus someone who hasn't? We're talking about universal values here, which is why it's especially concerning the 7 Noahide laws, because it's a universal law. There are values that might be cultural specific, or regional specific, or even gender specific, or religion specific. But I think almost all sustainable religions that has survived this far will probably, in one way or another, either discourage murder or describe it as something that is bad, evil, don't do it. One can even think about natural selection, right? In secularism, where a society that has, if it encourages, certain actions to include murder, would it survive through all these years? Or would it collapse due to infighting and, these kind of issues within the group? So obviously, the concept of murder being something bad, I shouldn't even be saying this, obviously, but for the sake of discussion, I'm bringing it up. As a universal value, almost universally agreed upon consensus that murder is bad. We're going a little bit deeper to define what constitutes as murder. And other topics of discussion that might come up is how do the different countries, nationalities, and cultures, or even cultures, within nationalities, deal with the topic of murder? For example, I'll tell you my perspective is that it seems like, let's just compare, say, China and the United States, right? Immigrants that came from China might tell you that, traditionally, the justice system in China might approach crimes with a pretty harsh approach, I guess, compared to like maybe the way that Westerners might go about these kind of things. The sayings that you would rather let you'd rather put 1,000 innocent people to death just so that one guilty person does not get away from justice. In the United States, the saying is opposite, that you would rather let 1,000 guilty people go just so that you don't accidentally incriminate that one innocent person. And of course, this approach is coming from a place where our justice system is limited. We don't know for sure, what a person has done, or is this right, is this wrong, or has this happened? Evidence versus belief. Which is why there are different ways of going about this. You might have different experiences, or you might view this differently, which is totally okay. But what we're trying to achieve here is to get people to start talking. And right now, for those of you who are watching this, your challenge is to go home and just meditate and reflect on the idea of this one law: do not murder. What it is, what does it entail, what do all the countries in the world have in common when it comes to dealing with this topic, and what are the differences? What are the advantages of the American justice system when it comes to the, I can't pronounce the word system for some reason today. The American justice system, what the advantages and perhaps disadvantages are, and what the Chinese advantage and disadvantages are when it comes to dealing with a topic like this. Same thing goes with Israel, Canada, Mexico, the Philippines, Japan. What do you think are the pros and cons of all the countries in the world in our common fight against this common enemy, which is murder, intentional killing of another human being? And I would be looking forward to looking at your answers or thoughts in the comment section. And thanks for watching.